Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Well, the province has announced it's expanding some classrooms in Surrey, and we'll hear what those plans are. And the district, as you know, has been dealing with surging enrollment for years. Some other BC districts face similar pressures. We're asking you, are there enough schools for families in your community? And coming up later, it is spot prawn season in BC. And so we're asking, what's your favorite way to enjoy fresh spot prawns? That's coming up at the tail end of the show. I'm Michelle Elliott. Welcome to BC Today. Thank you for joining us on CBC Radio 1, CBC Television, and we are live on YouTube on the CBC Vancouver page. You can join us on the CBC News app. CBC News BC is where you can get all our content. And call us now on our top story. Are there enough schools for families in your BC community? Have you had trouble getting your child into a school in your neighborhood? Has overcrowding affected your family? You can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, and you can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. By email, send us your thoughts, bctoday@cbc.ca. Well, just about an hour ago, the province announced further plans for new and expanded schools in Surrey. Rachna Singh is the Minister of Education and Childcare, and Mike Starchuk is the MLA for Surrey Cloverdale, and they announced 250 more student spaces today at Ecole Martha Curry Elementary and Walnut Road Elementary. The classrooms will be built by the fall of 2025, and they'll be made using prefabricated materials. In the past hour, Education Minister Rachna Singh said it's important the school spaces are added quickly.
Traditionally built classrooms and new schools can take years. That is why I directed my team to make sure that we build the classrooms that we need at a much faster rate in communities that are growing the most throughout the province.
Now, these changes are coming at a time when Surrey is being challenged by a surging population growth and no increase to their budget. The Surrey School District estimates that 83% of its 124 schools are over capacity. And you might see a similar story in other school districts as well. Growth is predicted in urban areas specifically, with Surrey and Vancouver leading the way. There's also Langford, Coquitlam, Langley, and Kelowna, and Kamloops not far behind. So we're asking you, if you live in those areas or elsewhere in the province, are there enough schools for families in your community? Have you had trouble finding a school space for your child? And has that school overcrowding, lack of school spaces in classrooms affected the child in your family? You can give us a call, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, and you can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. We'd love to hear from you on email too. It's bctoday@cbc.ca. Joining me now is Bob Holmes, BC Surrey School Trustee and the Surrey representative for the School Trustee Association. Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
What's your reaction to this announcement? Are these spaces that are going to be built using prefabricated materials, do they go far enough?
Well, it's certainly good news, and we're very happy to see more progress, but far enough? No, certainly not. The needs, as you've outlined, the needs are great around the province in Surrey. They're massive in Surrey. They're across Metro Vancouver, as you mentioned, other places too, Kamloops, Kelowna, Souk, just all over the place. There's so much growth. So it's another good step, but we need to go a lot farther.
Surrey has had to rely on portables in recent years because of that surging school population, student population. And so when you hear prefabricated materials, what is the difference between portables and classrooms using prefabricated materials? Are they the same thing?
Oh, the idea of a prefabricated school is something meant to be more permanent, or something meant to be permanent, shorter term than maybe a brand new build, so something that lasts 30, 40 years. So certainly meant to be much more attractive, to blend in better with the school, to be ideally attached to the school. That can't always happen, especially when it's builds that weren't designed for that. But you're just like a portable, you're short all the other spaces you need, all your collaborative spaces, your washrooms, extra gym space, extra office space. So they can be a solution in some schools, and they are much quicker than new builds, but they don't supply everything you need either.
Okay. And what would be the difference between these classrooms that have just been announced and portables?
Well, for districts, one of the large differences is not paying for them. So currently with portables, districts are forced to pay for them. In this case, the province is providing funding for these, which is certainly very, very welcome. But you'll see more complete HVAC systems. So you'll alleviate some of the problems you have with portables around heating and air conditioning. Just like I say, a more permanent structure, and they can build some collaborative spaces in them. So certainly a more permanent and more attractive. We haven't yet completed one, so we haven't fully seen what they look like, but they do appear to be something certainly much better than a portable, but not what you'll get from a new build.
Okay. Can you give us a better sense? You've alluded to this already, but can you give us a deeper sense of how bad it has become over the last few years, what impact that has had on students in Surrey?
Well, certainly in our district and other ones, what's really happened is you'll see the pressure now on our budgets as well, and that affects the classroom. But certainly when you're adding more and more portables to schools, we're having to have different options like extended days at schools,
Right.
all sorts of options that aren't good for education, but are done merely for the fact that we don't have enough space in so many different districts around the province.
Yes. And so
So,
where,
and
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and we're really where we are in shortage right now. We've had a look at BCSD. We've had a look around the province. We're looking at right now a $9.1 billion 5-year capital plans around the province, the 25 biggest school districts. So that's what they need for capital over 5 years, and that's only going to go up. That's from last June. So I imagine that number now, coming this June, will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 to $14 billion. The government is able to provide right now about $2.25 billion over 3 years. So it's quite a large shortfall. There are many pressures for the province, of course. Really, capital for schools is very, very badly needed in much larger numbers we're seeing so far.
That is quite a large gap. And why is there such an increasing pressure when it comes to student population growth?
It's really, I think, just coupled with the growth we're seeing in population throughout the country and in our province, right? So many people are wanting to come to BC. So many people are wanting to come to different areas in BC, whether it's Metro Vancouver, whether it's the interior, whatever community they're coming to. And of course, it's incumbent upon us, and we're happy to accommodate all those students. We're more than happy to have them in our schools, but that comes with a lot of extra pressure for our capital.
We're taking your calls on this. My guest is Surrey School Trustee and the BC School Trustees Association spokesperson, Bob Holmes. We are asking you, are there enough schools for families in your community? And have you had trouble finding a school, getting your child into a school? And has that overcrowding, has that affected the student in your family? I'd love to hear from you. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone as well. If you'd like to email us, bctoday@cbc.ca is our address. And Lila is calling us from New Westminster, certainly an urban district. Lila, what are the challenges you're seeing?
Hi there, Michelle. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Go ahead.
Okay, great. I just wanted to call in about this. Specifically, my kid is in middle school in New West. And, we in New West, we've always been super supportive of building housing. And I know that that's a huge priority for the province, which I absolutely support. But the challenge is we can't keep up with the needs for school enrollment. And also, building a new school is not usually something that is a quick process. It can take 3 to 5 years, often easily. So I think the great challenge that we're faced with right now is we have schools that are completely overcrowded, which tends to lead to a pretty chaotic space for kids. Lots of kids with extra needs and lots of challenges and pressures that are being faced in their families, and they're just not getting the support. And they're kind of being dumped in a very, very tight space that tends to be very chaotic. So I guess I would encourage the province to come up with interim measures to support some of the schools and the admin in schools so that kids can get supervisory support, counseling support, anything that they need that will help them through this, pretty chaotic period of trying to fit so many children into schools.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. There's this push for more housing to house more families in places like New Westminster, but there have been concerns around a lack of added infrastructure and amenities, including schools. For your child who's in middle school, Lila, what's a day like? What are some of the experiences that they have?
It's just really busy. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I do tend to pop into my child's school on occasion to drop off something that's been forgotten, and it's pretty wild. And I really feel for the admin and the teachers who are trying to manage sort of a lot of children, not to mention middle school and the age of these kids and all of the different things that are going on with them personally. It's pretty wild. And I just think that we are not doing our kids a service by packing them, you know, 600, 700 kids into a building and trying to manage all of the things that occur there. And chaos just tends to increase more chaos. It starts to feel like not a very secure place for kids. And I just think that while we are working on building new schools, we really need the province to provide funding to give us some more adults to help support the kids that are being packed into these schools at this time.
That counseling help that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Lila, really good to hear from you. Thanks so much. Good to hear from someone who's experiencing this
Thank you
firsthand.
for covering this today. It's a really important issue.
Good to hear from you. Lila in New Westminster. Let's go to Lake Country now, and Vicky's on the line. There are parts of the Okanagan that are seeing increasing. We're thinking about Kelowna, for example. But when it comes to the challenges, Vicky, what do you see? Hi, Vicky. Are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we sure can. Go ahead.
Thanks for having the conversation. It's a great conversation. And I guess just 2 points come to mind is I'm wondering, is the tax dollars being shifted? Because we certainly have regions in the Okanagan where the population is declining. And so we have some areas that are growing and some are declining. So it's more of a shift of population rather than more students moving into the region, because we do know the statistics from stats is that more and more young families are actually leaving the province. It's not an influx of more students. It's, you know, more people moving to more affordable areas.
Right.
And so, you know, I know I heard the last caller talk about the province providing more funding, but the province doesn't provide funding. It's actually tax dollars. So it's the tax people in that region. So my question to the government is, you know, is that reallocation happening? You know, so in some of our regions where our schools are not full, in Lake Country, we definitely have room. Is some of that funding being shifted around to areas like Surrey that are growing? And I don't have the answer to that, but it would just be, instead of we always keep asking for more and more, there is no more. You know, everybody's paying a lot of tax. Is the government in those regions shifting the tax dollars to the appropriate areas?
Vicky, it's a really great question. And you may have heard the program we did on the exodus, or so-called exodus from BC. And this is the number of people who are leaving BC for other provinces. That has really grown, and you know, many moving to Alberta. There are, though, in terms of international migration, still quite a number of people moving that way. So just going back to that point when it comes to population growth. But I take your point around, okay, some parts of the Okanagan are actually not growing, and there's a student population that is actually declining. So why not shift things around? So can you give us some more insight into how the funding is allocated when it comes to schools, Bob?
Yeah, well, certainly. I mean, you know, Vicky makes a good point about some areas are, you know, certainly people are moving around. The way it works right now is really, when it comes to capital, about the only funding we can get directly is through capital cost charges at the city, and those have been capped for some time, because the province sets the cap for the cities. So what we get in funding directly like that is far, far smaller than what is needed in really every district when new buildings are built. So really, in the end, it's the provinces bringing in all the revenue, and they are the ones who decide where the money is distributed. So when it comes to our tax dollars, our goal coming into general revenues, school taxes are coming in, then the province is the one who then distributes that money based on enrollment. So that's what currently is happening. the issue really is there's just not enough money to go around right now.
My guest is Bob Holmes, who's a Surrey school trustee and spokesperson for the School Trustees Association of BC. And we're going to continue our conversation here in just a moment. It is 12:20 now, and this is BC Today. Well, the use of portables in schools, we've been talking about that a little bit. It has been a subject of criticism, and the Education Minister, Rachna Singh, was asked about that in the press conference, and here's her response.
Are these prefabricated classrooms really enough? And is your government as a whole doing enough, especially when there are calls for just new schools?
What I would say for Surrey, we have seen the growth in Surrey that has been unprecedented. I've already mentioned that more than 350,000 people have moved to British Columbia in the last 2 years. And I know the pressure that the school district like Surrey is facing. And I would say since 2017, we are working towards that. That's why adding more seats in Surrey, more than 12,500 seats are already funded. But this work is not finished yet. Much has been done, much more that we need to do. And that's why these strong partnerships are so important. Looking at the innovative ideas like prefabricated classrooms. This is the first time ever we came up with this idea last year because we know the growth was so, it was creating such pressure on the district. That's why the direction to the staff was to come up with some ideas. But we are exploring any other ideas.
That's Education Minister Rachna Singh speaking this morning about new classrooms. They call them prefabricated classrooms. And we're asking you, she called it an innovative solution for an urgent need for more spaces. Is that how you see it? And what's your experience? Has a lack of school space affected your family? Love to hear from you. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. This is BC Today. Now, we are hearing from various parts of the province. We heard from Lake Country, we heard from New Westminster, and in Langford, in fact, there's been some discussion there as well, because there's been an announcement around a new high school project, a high school in North Langford, and this is a site that the province acquired 4 years ago. That completion, though, is still years away. So that's another community that is facing a similar issue. But we are talking today about the announcement made this morning for new classrooms being added in Surrey, where, of course, we know the population has just been growing, surging, in fact, and the students themselves are facing a lack of schools and classrooms. An announcement today expanding the number of classrooms with prefabricated classrooms. And so we asked our guest here, Bob Holmes, what is the difference between a prefabricated classroom and a portable? And he's saying it's sort of in between. Bob, you can correct me if I get this wrong, but what you're saying is it's quicker to build than a permanent classroom, but will have more amenities or more capabilities than a regular portable classroom. Is that right? Sort of in between?
Yeah, I'd say when it comes to amenities, it's probably actually closer to a portable than to a new build, because there's not a whole lot that comes with it. But it is, you're accurate with that. It's just certainly a more permanent structure than a portable is, and it can be built in multiple stories as well.
All right, let's go to Surrey now. In fact, Lindsay is on the line. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, thanks for calling in from Surrey. What are your observations?
Well, two of my children attend an inner city school, and in the central Surrey area near the King George SkyTrain station, there's just been such an influx of infrastructure with all of the towers going up, and the density falls on these schools. So the other concern I have around the portables, where there is a portable for the music class at my children's school, but since the pandemic, I've noticed that there's been more mental health issues among the children. And what the first caller mentioned was the lack of resources for admin and the opportunities to support them, especially with counselors. And the school my children attend, the counselor is split between two schools. And we need to have, administrative help along with these portables. It's just how do we how do we see and notice what's going on with the kids and have enough resources to help them? That's my chief concern.
And it was something that our first caller mentioned as well was the kind of environment that you have, which she called it chaotic. It's just very busy when it's a crowded school, and what impact does it have on the learning environment that students are engrossed in?
Well, that's just it. I hear stories from my kids how there are children just wandering the halls, and how does the teacher manage such a full population throughout the day and keeping the students within the classroom itself? And there's a lot of screaming and running and children whenever I pop in. So I would say it can be quite chaotic. Yeah,
Are there enough teachers, counselors to fill the need?
No. And the other thing that the inner city schools face, especially for kids in grades 5 and 7, is massive teacher turnover.
Yeah.
That's another chief concern, where many teachers want to live close or teach closer to home. I understand that, and then there's not that stability of the teachers who have that long-term relationship with the kids. So that's another concern.
Great to hear from you as a parent in
you.
Surrey, Lindsay. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Michelle.
You take care. Can I get just a response from you, Bob, on that? We've been talking about capital infrastructure and lack of it, but what about human resources, teachers, counselors, and administrators? How do you deal with that shortage?
Yeah, Lindsay certainly makes some great points. And it's a problem everywhere, of course, but certainly when you're under that much pressure, schools are, as your previous caller said, so chaotic. You're going to have more pressure on mental health issues. Mental health counselors are resources. And the unfortunate problem is that when you are in a capital crunch like we are, paying for portables, paying to move portables, contributing to capital from our operating funds, that actually puts more pressure on our budget and makes it more difficult to put counselors out there. We had a very difficult budget this year. We're not the only district with this problem, and maybe more coming, where we had to really find ways to save money and keep that away from the classroom as much as we could. But it puts a lot of pressure on our budgets for sure.
Right, and you've had, issues with a Strong Start program, for example, and that's now going to be limited in scope. Busing services have been affected as well. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Strong Start. We're budgetarily wise, we're able to find some money for this year, but we're worried about next year. But we had to close a couple just because of the capital room. We don't have the room for them anymore. So yeah, certainly all those things are being looked at.
Let's take a couple more calls here. Nicola is joining us from Kelowna. Hi, Nicola.
Hi. I'm the District Parent Advisory Council President in SC23.
Okay. What are you seeing in Kelowna where there's been growth in population?
Yeah, absolutely. Kelowna has been growing like crazy over the last years, and we just can't keep up with school builds. And so, on one hand, we're definitely happy to see the addition of these modular building additions. They're relieving some of the pressure, and like Bob said, taking the cost pressure away from the district, who has traditionally had to pay for portables. But when we add these extra classrooms onto school, we're not adding extra space like gymnasiums and libraries and all of those other sort of multi-purpose rooms that get used by all of the students in the school, but then we're still growing the size of the school community. So it's really a short-term solution. The question is, how big should a school grow to with additions? Because the schools aren't built to actually house so many hundreds of students. It's really impacting the school community and the well-being of the students in that community.
Do you see any new schools coming to Kelowna?
I think we have one that's being built right now. There's a number in the process. There's various stages to the build process, so I'm not quite sure what's going to come up next. But we definitely need new schools to be built in the central Okanagan.
Right. And what do you, we heard from the education minister this morning, she called these prefabricated material-built classrooms an innovative solution. What do you make of that then?
I think they are temporarily innovative, but in the long term, we don't like them as a solution to the problem. We really need more schools built in their entirety in all of our school districts that are growing in BC.
Really good to hear from you, Nicola. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That's Nicola in Kelowna. Bob, let me just get a final thought from you. You know, you said that you welcome today's announcement. Is it a short-term solution, and do you need something more longer term when it comes to aid from the province on alleviating the pressure on schools?
Yeah, I think Nicola touched on some good points there. It's certainly, I agree with Minister Singh. It is innovative. We appreciate that. We want more innovative solutions. But as has been highlighted, it's not a fix for the entire province. It's not a fix for every situation. It's something that will work at some schools, but really more capital is needed. We know how much pressure the province has with all sorts of needs. Really, this needs to be addressed. You can't have kids in hundreds and hundreds of portables and districts coming up millions of dollars short in their budgets. And we also have deferred maintenance issues around the province, all sorts of capital issues that are hitting the province in all different ways with our growth and really need to be addressed. The province has been doing some work on it, but they need to continue and do much more.
Very good to have you on the show today. Thank you so much. And we'll touch base on what happens in the future when it comes to schools in Surrey. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Bob Holmes is a spokesperson with the BC School Trustees Association, as well as a Surrey school trustee. It's 12:31. This is BC Today here on CBC. I'm Michelle Elliott. Thanks so much for joining us. You can watch us and listen to us on the CBC News app. And coming up in our next half hour, we're going to hear what the Public Safety Minister, Mike Farnworth, had to say about that BC court decision regarding the Surrey police transition. A busy day for Surrey News today. And we'll talk spot prawns. That's coming up after this CBC News update. And here's Rob Zimmerman.
Good afternoon. Surrey will continue its transition to a municipal police force. A judicial review has rejected the city's argument that the province had overstepped its authority when it required the transition to the Surrey Police Service. The decision quashes Mayor Brenda Locke's bid to halt the transition after nearly 2 years of feuding. Officials say serial killer Robert Picton has been placed in a medically induced coma and is on life support after he was attacked Sunday by another inmate in his Quebec prison. In 2007, the 74-year-old was convicted of killing 6 women. In all, he was charged with the deaths of 26 women from Vancouver's downtown east side. And thousands of people forced out of their Fort Nelson homes nearly 2 weeks ago should be allowed to start returning on Monday or Tuesday. Mayor Rob Fraser says the imminent risk posed by the Parker Lake fire has been reduced, and officials are focused on rolling out a phased approach for people to return. And now the forecast on the north coast. Rain this afternoon with a high of 11. Highs reaching 21 with increasing cloudiness in the Peace. In the central interior, including Prince George, cloudy with a high of 21 as well. Highs up to 17 degrees with showers and thunderstorms in the Kootenays. In the southern interior, including Kelowna, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 20. And for Metro Vancouver, Greater Victoria, and the Fraser Valley, some sun and cloud this afternoon with highs around 18 degrees. That's your CBC News update from Vancouver.
Thank you very much, Rob. Are you a seafood fan?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, spot prawns?
Spot
Specifically.
prawns, sure, yes. Love the spot prawns.
Yeah. Do you know that it's spot prawn season?
I did not know that.
There you go. See, this is why you come on.
Yes.
Learn new things.
To get informed, for sure.
Yeah. I've heard
That's
that about
exciting.
CBC. There's information on it.
That's true.
It is exciting. And do you have a favorite way to prepare it or anything like that? Or is it just a special treat you have at a restaurant?
Well, as you know, I have one of those ovens. What do you call it? Air fryer. Thank you, air fryer. So I cook everything in the air fryer now.
Do you?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
How does it come out? What do you put a?
So I haven't done spot prawns. I've just done prawns.
Yeah.
Just oil and salt and pepper.
Nice.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, that's great. I was actually wondering if you would somehow bring in the air fryer
Any
into
chance
this
I get.
conversation.
Yeah, tennis and air fryers. That's pretty much all I talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the two things. So when I go look at the news run, I think Rob's going to have something to say about that.
Yes.
Yeah. And pickleball.
Sure.
Not so much. No. Rob, well, thanks so much. We may, let's talk more spot prawn. We're going to talk more about it on the show, but maybe we can enjoy some
Exchange
spot prawns,
recipes, sure.
exchange recipes. You can make some on your air fryer and bring it in.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's nothing like cold
Yeah,
spot prawns cooked 3 hours previous.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
Okay.
Rob Zimmerman in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. This is BC Today here on CBC. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, if you like to stay connected to news updates in BC, you're going to be interested in hearing about this. From today, you can watch a new 24/7 streaming channel. It is called CBC News BC, and it has news and information for British Columbians, yes, all day long. So what shows can you watch? Well, the day gets going with the early edition, of course, at 6 a.m. There are live newscasts throughout the rest of the morning, and you can watch us on the show as well, BC Today at noon on the coast in the afternoon as well in Metro Vancouver. They go live on CBC News BC as well. And of course, when news breaks, you'll find live coverage of major stories on this channel. You can tune in anytime. It's called CBC News BC. You can find it on the video tab using the CBC News app. 12:36 now. And yes, a busy day for news out of Surrey. A BC Supreme Court judge has decided the province can order the transition from the RCMP to a municipal police force. It is another step in the battle over the future of Surrey policing, one that has been drawn out between Mayor Brenda Locke and Public Safety Minister Mike Farnworth. Well, Minister Farnworth spoke to that decision in the past hour. Here's some of what he said.
People of Surrey want this to be over, and I am hopeful that today's ruling is the time to come together and work towards completing the transition to the Surrey Police Service. I think what we really want now is the City of Surrey to realize that the decision by the court has been made, that the transition to the Surrey Police Service will continue, and would really like them to be at the table to work with the province, the RCMP, and the Surrey Police Service to ensure that this transition completes quickly and smoothly.
That's Public Safety Minister Mike Farnworth speaking just about an hour ago. And of course, you'll get much more coverage on that story on CBC News BC. Well, spot prawn season in BC is a highlight on the culinary calendar. So this is when commercial fishers harvest BC's largest shrimp. You can find them available fresh at markets and restaurants. And this Sunday, the annual Spot Prawn Festival will take place at Fisherman's Wharf in Vancouver. It's held by the Chef's Table Society of BC and will be joined by one of the featured chefs in just a moment. We're asking you as well to join in. Have you tried BC spot prawns? How do you like to enjoy them? Do you have any questions about choosing and preparing spot prawns? You can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. You can email us to bctoday@cbc.ca. And for any of our callers, well, one of our callers will be able to win 2 tickets for the Spot Prawn Festival brunch. That's at 11 a.m. on Sunday at Fisherman's Wharf. That's at Falls Creek in Vancouver. So if you can go and you can call us, you get a chance to win 2 tickets. I'm joined now by Chef Bob Milhern, who will be making spot prawns at the brunch. He's the executive chef at the Wentworth Hospitality Group. That includes Homer Street Cafe Bar and Tableau Bistro. It is my pleasure to welcome Chef Bobby to our studio. Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
I am very well. I do get excited this time of year.
Yeah, it's a fantastic time of year.
What's a day like for you right now then as you prepare
For
Spot Prawn Festival?
Yeah, so this Sunday, I'm going to be doing one of the brunch segments at 11 a.m. So
yeah.
All the prawns are going to come in over the next couple of days, and we'll get them processed and have our dish ready to go for Sunday morning.
What does it take to process them? Like, where do they come from, first of all? Because this is such a BC product.
Yeah, so for ease of prep, we're going to be using some frozen product for Sunday's event.
For Sunday, okay.
So the live products are really fun to work with. and you can get them fresh every day from multiple different suppliers and from the wharf and Falls Creek as well. So.
Yeah. I can smell it already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, why is it so exciting? Why is it such a big deal to come upon this time of year, the sort of like short season?
Yeah, I think it's just such a short season. Usually lasts around 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So really fun to get to use the live product during that short period.
Yeah.
But in all of our restaurants, we actually use the product year round. We have a great small fishing family out of Campbell River. We get I order 900 pounds every year that I distribute between the 3 restaurants, and so we're able to have it on the menu all year, and then kind of showcase the live product when it's available for that short period of time as well.
How important is the spot prawn to fishers in BC?
Yeah, I think it's one of the more popular. It kind of sells itself.
Yeah.
You don't really have to worry about it on a menu. People are
Right.
going to buy it. The product knowledge is really high, and yeah, I think it's a great product that's easy to use and versatile.
Okay, and we're going to get into that a little bit, right? Versatile, all the ways you can prepare them. Like I've had them, when I first had them, probably 10 years ago, just very simple, grilled. But what's your favorite way to enjoy a spot prawn?
Yeah, I would say if you get them live from the dock, very, very little ingredients, maybe a bit of garlic, some salt. I really like to cook them over charcoal, probably my favorite way to do it.
And are you shell on or shell off?
I like to cook shell on because it adds a little bit extra flavor, and then it's kind of fun to peel and eat, you know?
Yeah, that is part of the experience, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's take a call now. Chef Bobby Milhern is with me, and he is going to be one of the featured chefs cooking brunch with spot prawns this coming Sunday at the Spot Prawn Festival. That's at the Fisherman's Wharf at Falls Creek in Vancouver. If you can go, you have a chance to win some tickets right now. Give us a call wherever you are in the province. So we'd love to hear from you. How do you like to enjoy spot prawns? Do you have any questions about preparing them? Are you trying to get creative? I'd love to hear from you. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. And you can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. Ooh, we are going to the island, and Barbara is on the line in Vancouver. Hi, Barbara.
No.
Pardon me, Victoria. We're going to the island, yes.
Yeah. And we do have spot prawns over here. We have lots of fishermen. You go down to Fisherman's Wharf, and actually there's a place called, can you believe it, the Fish Store, and you can get spot prawns probably year-round because they do freeze them and sell them.
Right.
But I just want to tell everybody that it's really important to support our local fishers. I mean, we can go to the big stores, I'm not going to name any of them, and buy a big bag of prawns for like $10 to $15, and like there's a gazillion in there, but they are from overseas, and the people that have to harvest them are not living in a very, very good condition. So let's please buy local. And you want to know how to do them? Butter, garlic, and just a wee touch of salt. You know?
That sounds so good.
They're wonderful. And like I'm going with our cook, you know, to keep the shell on because it adds to the flavor and the consistency of the meat. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and if you get a little splinter or something, that's fine.
Absolutely. Hey, it just makes it more real.
Yeah, exactly. A lot more fun. Add a little adventure to your meal. Barbara, thank you so much. A little butter, a little garlic, some salt, just like that.
Yeah. Thank you for taking my call.
That sounds
Great
wonderful.
show.
Great to hear from you, Barbara. That's Barbara in Vancouver. So again, saying it's important to support your local fisher,
100%.
commercial fishers. Yeah.
Yeah, small local fishing families. Important to support them and buy the products while we can.
Kate is up next in North Vancouver. Our numbers again, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. Everyone's calling from Harbors. Hi, Kate.
Oh, hi. Thanks so much for this topic. It's one of my favorite foods. I live up Indian Arm. I'm actually the last house in North Vancouver. Indian Arm is a saltwater body that is just up from Deep Cove.
Yeah.
And I catch spot prawns in my front yard, and I thought your visitors or your listeners might enjoy the tips on the best baits that I use in my prawn catching courses.
Oh my goodness, how fortunate are you?
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are very fortunate. That's why we share our home. We do like all kinds of cooking courses here outside on the beach.
Really?
So that everyone else can come. Yeah, you just go to swellkitchen.com. You can see all about it. But the cat food is the best, but there's a certain kind of cat food that we buy at Bosley's locally, and it's called Carlisle.
Okay.
So if you buy a can of Carlisle, you just crack the tin halfway, put it into your prawn bait, wire it in really well so it doesn't float away on your trap, and put it down depending on the time of year, where you're going to find them. We've got all the insider info for Indian Arm. You're going to get yourself a huge feast. And of course, shell on.
And so you actually, I mean, I was just, I just did the Quarry Rock hike. So looking overlooking, maybe seeing your home, you're probably further up, but.
Oh, we're quite a way up. We're about 12 kilometers past the last road. We're 100% off grid.
Oh my goodness.
I cook for all of the neighbors in the bay and deliver stuff via boat for all the people who live up here.
I love it. Okay, so what is your favorite way to prepare spot prawns?
Oh, well, shell on, head on, that's where all the flavor is. And I have tried it many different ways, just in butter, a little bit of olive oil so that butter doesn't get too brown on you, though a little bit of brown butter is also gorgeous, with salt, pepper, and garlic. A nice loaf of focaccia on the side. You've got a meal fit for a king and queen.
Wow, that's so great, Kate. Thank you very much. And you teach a course, right? What's the biggest question people ask you?
Well, they want to know exactly where to fish, how deep, because a lot of people will drop those prawn traps and they'll drop them. They won't be deep enough and they'll be pulling up nothing, which of course is a complete waste of time and frustrating for everybody.
Are there any concerns that you should, ensure that you address if you're going to fish for yourself?
Well, you always want to make sure, of course, you've got your saltwater fishing license. There are limitations and area warnings to make sure that you're aware of before you go out and fish. You never want to catch and retain any prawns that have eggs. You want to be able to return those back. And we always make sure that we return all the small guys too. So we're only keeping the nice big ones without any eggs, so we can continue that harvest well into the future.
Keep it sustainable.
Yeah.
Kate, great to hear from you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for this topic. It's fun.
Kate in North Vancouver. Dipti is up next in Port Coquitlam. How do you like to prepare spot prawns, Dipti?
So there's two ways that I like to prepare them. One is more of like an appetizer, where I like to prepare them like mussels in a coconut sort of curry broth, and very similar to how you would prepare mussels. And then the other way is to like Indian style with like a coconut oil base over a bed of rice. Oh yeah,
that would be so good.
Yes, yeah, they are both like very different flavors, but I like to prepare them with the shell on and the head on as well, because I find that I love the seafood and I love shrimp, so I love how you can get more of that flavor from the shell and from the head being on.
Oh, nice.
When you prepare it.
And Dipti, would it be a basmati rice then if you're preparing the Indian curry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and the coconut oil, I believe, with some curry leaf into the Indian style, where you prepare serve it with the rice. That has a bit more of a gravy to it. It's not like the one for the Thai style one, because the Thai one is a little bit more dry, and you can just eat it with your fingers.
Right, sticky. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just have it with some naan and stuff, and
goodness.
yeah.
That sounds so delicious, Dipti. Did you say it's an appetizer? It sounds like a meal to me.
Well, the Indian one, yes, but not the other one we prepare like mussels. So it's nice just as an appy or something.
Right. That all sounds very delicious. Thanks so much for calling.
Thank you.
That's Dipti in Port Coquitlam. What do you think of that? So, shrimp goes so well, right, with Thai flavors, with Indian flavors, and we heard as well about using focaccia on the side. What kind of flavors are very compatible and complementary to spot prawns?
Yeah, they're definitely easy to lend any type of flavor. I really like to keep it super simple and let the prawns speak for themselves because they are extremely sweet on their own.
Yeah.
They don't need a lot of help. A little bit of lemon, some fresh herbs go a long ways. I typically try not to overpower them with anything too strong.
Yeah. So if you have something like a carb, like a focaccia bread or rice or something like that, what would be the ideal ratio then?
Well, yeah, it would really depend on if you're having it as a light snack or a full meal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have that on the side so people can kind of decide how much they wanna eat.
Right.
Put the prawns in the middle and everyone can get in and have some fun.
Yeah. Make sure you have. Yeah. It's the center of the meal. It's the star of the show.
It is, definitely.
You're from Nova Scotia, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Originally, but you've been in Vancouver a long time.
Yeah, I moved here in 2008.
Okay. So between the Nova Scotia lobster and the BC spot prawn, which would you go with?
Yeah, I think lobster's pretty dear to my heart, but spot prawns are a little bit more exciting. This season's shorter. It's more of a exciting time of year for sure.
There is that part of it, isn't it? That just the fact that it is a short season, get it while you can.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. What a way to market it too. It's like you only have this much time. Terry is on the line in West Vancouver. Oh, great. You have a question, Terry. Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Terry. Go ahead.
I was wondering if it's safe to eat the spot prawns raw. I have a son who's a real sushi nut, and he likes raw prawns. So I just want to know if you can have them fresh or if they should be frozen first, if they're safe.
The frozen at sea prawns are always going to be safer to eat raw. If you want to do sashimi or anything like that with the live ones, I would recommend giving a really quick blanch with hot water, and removing the heads before you do that.
Okay. And what's behind that, the thinking there?
Any type of parasite or anything is going to be living in the head part of the prawn. So if you remove that and give it a quick blanch, you're going to be a little bit safer. Any prawns that are frozen below a temperature that anything's going to live. So that makes it a bit safer as well.
Okay. And so you're recommending frozen at sea?
Yes.
And why is that? Just to prevent anything to grow within that time, then I guess. Yeah. And so Terry, is this does your son like to eat spot prawns then?
Oh, yes, he does. And he often has them in the sushi restaurants around town. So I'm sure it's the season now. So he'll be eating a lot of them.
Just like a mom, eh? Checking to make sure it's safe.
That's right.
That's something I would do.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear from you, Terry. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Terry in West Vancouver. Colleen is next at Lone Butte. Hi, Colleen. What are some ways you like to enjoy spot prawns?
The best way is go to your local prawn fisherman, of course. But we went to a spot prawn festival in Powell River.
Nice.
And got the best recipe, which is peel your prawn, wrap it in a tiny little wrap of prosciutto, put it on a skewer, and it's heaven.
Oh my goodness, that sounds so good. Have you
Really
tried that?
I've done quite a bit of different things with prawns. So yeah.
This is because you can do it really fast and easy, and everybody thinks you're a really good cook.
Yeah, that's right.
Not hard to impress people with BC spot prawns.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And, the Powell River coastal areas are always so happy to share your recipes, and that's how I got this recipe. And we still hope for a day we might actually have prawns again.
Oh, yum.
Long drive to go get prawns, like 10 hours.
Was it worth it?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Colleen, thanks so much.
Wonderful program with one of my favorite foods.
There you go, Colleen at Lone Butte. People are really, really enthusiastic about spot prawns.
Yeah, they're very widely known.
Yeah, when it comes to BC foods, we think about salmon and all of that. Like, where would you put spot prawns?
Well, it's the largest the largest prawn species that we can get in the waters here. So I think that alone makes it very special. And I think maybe lots of people have overeaten salmon. So The opportunity to overeat prawns is
Is
a
it?
lot lower than salmon.
There you go. Yeah, keep it, as we were talking about earlier as well, keep it sustainable. Jennifer is on the line in Coquitlam. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you doing?
I am fine. Now, you're a veteran at this, are you, at spot prawn cooking?
Yeah, there was a cooking.
Oh, Jennifer, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
you
We
hear
missed what you said there.
Yeah. There was a cooking contest about 20 years ago in the days that it wasn't the type of cooking contest these days.
Oh, right, like Iron Chef or things like that.
Yeah, well, it was kind of Iron Chef-y because it was a salad dressing company that was sponsoring it. And so you had to send in recipes and they screened you, and then it came down to an Iron Chef sort of situation where they chose 10 people, and from the recipes they'd sent, and that's not what you were cooking, but you had to use a salad dressing, and there was to make a dish, and the key ingredient, the surprise ingredient, was spot prawns.
Nice.
So
Okay.
when we got there, we had to dream up something on the spot with spot prawns and some sort of salad. So I cooked couscous in the salad dressing, and cooked the spot prawns separately and to serve them with it. Unfortunately, I didn't win the trip to Italy, but it was fun. And shout out to Eva who did.
Oh, fantastic. You remember who won too. And this was a contest that you won 20 years ago.
It was about 20 years. I didn't win it, but I was in the finals.
Yeah. Oh, well, have you prepared spot prawns that same way since?
Yeah, not often. Usually I just cook spot prawns.
Yeah. Well, you
Butter,
can.
garlic, lemon. That was about it.
Oh, nice. Jennifer, you can enjoy some spot prawns this weekend, okay? You are the winner of our brunch tickets that we're giving away. So you get to enjoy that on Sunday. Congratulations. Enjoy. I'm going to squeeze in. Congratulations, Jennifer. Alan in Richmond, I have about 20 seconds left, but you used to fish spot prawns.
Well, you don't know me 20 seconds. I think I've blown it already.
Oh,
many fishermen, and in fact, I'd like to pay respect to a good friend of mine that I grew up with, Captain John Henderson, who we lost this year. Was probably well known in the spot prawn industry. It's a very small one. Congratulations to the previous caller, and I throw mine into a garlic basil cream and smoked tomato pasta.
Oh, yum. Alan, I'm sorry we had so little time, but I'm glad you got to pay homage to your fellow fishermen. Thank you so much. That's Alan at Richmond. Chef Bobby, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Chef Bobby Milhairn.